The audio commentary. It's a dying art form, but here at One Track Mind, I, your wonky yet affable host Ryan Luis Rodriguez, analyze film through the prism of these embryonic forms of podcasting, one audio commentary at a time. Masterpieces, crapster pieces, live action, animation, cult classics, films literally no one has ever heard of. No track is too small and no track is too big. Join me and my guests from the entertainment world as we keep these features alive every other Tuesday. Hey, who else is going to discuss Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey one week and Citizen Kane the next? Us, that's who. Sure, you have to put up with my voice, but there's a certain give and take in this industry. That's One Track Mind, part of the Someone's Favorite Productions family and available wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Film Foundations, a show where we answer 4 questions about a given topic, mostly or all the time. Damn, I fucked it up already.
Remember, you have it in your notes app. You can just read the script.
Yeah, you have my notes app, huh? God, I'm an idiot. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. It's right there. I could just read it. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Film Foundations, the collaborative show between Weirding Way Media and Someone's Favorite Productions. I'm your co-host, Chris Dashew, from the Culture Cast and other garbage cans on the internet.
And I am your other co-host, Ryan Verrill, from the Disconnected and I don't want to say garbage cans, but I'll say other haunted corners of the internet.
I'm only saying garbage cans because of Oscar the Grouch. I'm about to jam, so scram! Speaking of jamming, on this show, we ask and answer 4 questions about a given topic that is surrounding either an actor, director, franchise, or microgenre. Our job is to entice you to broaden your horizons on film and to encourage you to travel down film tangents and side roads you may never have traveled down otherwise. And boy, do we have a doozy for you on this episode. This is the first time that Chris and Ryan do a microgenre together, the thing that, up until this point, we've only had guests doing because, hey, they're normally the ones who care about these movies, not us. I'm kidding. But for the most part, we've done things that are a little easier. Microgenres tend to be something that, like, you really got to be passionate about it. And you got to love those Manic Pixie Dream Girl movies or be a huge fan of time-bending slashers because there aren't a lot of them. And speaking of the kinds of films that there are not a lot of, we are talking about on this episode of Film Foundations. Now, let me get this right. Films about haunt attractions. What does that mean? Ryan Verrill, I'm going to kick it to you.
This is a damn good question. We've been working on this episode for a while, and the way that we are looking this is either fiction or non-fiction films about haunt attractions that are made specifically to scare people, not a supernatural ghost lives here type of haunted house, but something that is like a not scary farmhouse where everybody's going in there, where people are jumping out of corners to scare you, or the Universal Studios haunted houses that come out every September and October, and people go crazy over them, wait in lines for 4 hours just to have the piss scared out of them. And because the attractions themselves have gotten so popular over the last 10 or 15 years, films about them have started to come out, and people are either loving these or trashing them because they sit on a very wide spectrum in terms of quality for this little microgenre that we're talking about today. So we're going to go over like a list of the type of films that will fall under this and explain why there are other things that might not fall into it. So I'll start with that part. And the first one is, like we were talking about, this Funhouse from Tobe Hooper is one that a lot of people might jump to, but really that's more like a carnival movie. And we could easily do a Film Foundations episode on carnival films. So we're going to save that one for that episode. The other big one is when you look on lists online, things like Escape Room. I even saw one list that had Saw listed on these, or Cube. Those are not haunt attractions. Those are humans trapped somebody in a room and you have to literally escape to live type of films. And believe me, I love those. We're going to talk about those at some point. So we're literally talking about a haunt film where there are employees at a location literally here to scare people that are paying to come in and be scared at a haunt attraction. Hopefully that definition is quite obvious enough for everybody listening.
The term haunted house will be used here in the way that it is used in the month of October. Outside of that, we're not talking about actually haunted places. We're talking about attractions meant to scare you, of the house variety on this episode. Yeah, and you know, we have to say all of this because, like you mentioned, there are movies that kind of slip and slide off the razor's edge into either direction. And, you know, some of those movies we might have wanted to talk about. Some of them I never want to talk about again. Looking at You, The Funhouse, a movie I really, for as positive as we are on this show normally, The Funhouse is a movie I know a lot of people really enjoy, a lot of people really like. Not for me. Not for me at all. So I'm glad we don't have to talk about it. I'm actually excited to talk about this because, like you mentioned to me before we started, this was my idea. So I'll take full responsibility for this episode either being great or good. No way it's bad, right? Wink,
Never.
wink. But I think the thing that excites me the most about this idea for this topic specifically is up until about age, 16, I would not have been the right person to ask, what's your favorite haunted attraction? What's your favorite scary movie? I did not grow up on horror movies. I was not raised on horror movies. They were not a thing that anybody pushed me to watch. They were something I pushed myself to watch at a certain age. So I think it's interesting because up until a certain point in my life, I would have been the wrong person for this, but now I am very much the right person for this, as I assume you are.
I very much am the right person for this. I have loved going to some haunts in person. I've not been to a ton. I've hopefully at some point in this episode, I'll have a really kind of fucked up story to tell about a real life happening at a haunt. But at some point, I just started loving some of these movies that were coming out in this genre and sharing them with my wife and a few other friends. And big fan. I hope that they continue making them. I think there's a lot of room for these to grow. And, you know, talking about blurred lines, one thing that's interesting is this genre specifically has the ability to go from the haunt attraction into the supernatural side, because even though there are some of these things that are billed as a haunt, it is possible that in the film universe that we're discussing, that location could also be invaded by spirits, and based on that, we're fucked. So it's going to be a really blurry, interesting episode to go through the end of this.
Yeah, I'm. You know, I asked you beforehand. We didn't tell each other our answers, but I was like, how many of these do you think we're going to have that are the same? And I am convinced we will have at least one, and it may be the one that we both share. And maybe not. Maybe he's shaking his head no, folks. I don't know. Again, my whole thing here is like, this is the smallest list that we've ever dealt with, or at least not lists, because there are lists that we're working off of. But again, one of the movies that I'm going to mention didn't show up on any of these lists. So haha, fuckos. But for me, getting to talk about haunted attraction movies is fun, because I think the thing that at least my opening comment on all of these kinds of movies is, like you mentioned, 10 to 15 years is really the longest that we have had these movies around.
Yeah.
But they don't really do a lot to dissuade people from being scared shitless about haunted houses, which is, for me, one of the funniest things about these movies. Is just like someone like my mom hates haunted houses. Like, the idea of going into a haunted house to be scared intentionally sounds like the worst thing possible to my poor mother. So showing her a movie where the people who are running the haunted house are trying to kill you, in fact, is going to be fuel on the fire of no fucking way am I doing this ever in my lifetime. And I find that amusing because, again, like I said, up until a certain point in my life, like, I would have said the exact same thing. Not so much anymore, but yeah, I'm a haunted house fan. I don't know about you. You've gone to some. The one that I went to is kind of in North Texas. At least it used to be. I don't know. Maybe it's not the big one that anybody goes to, but the Cutting Edge in Fort Worth, an hour-long haunted house. Now it's a little bit of a misnomer, because there's some bullshit that you have to deal with about 2/3 of the way through. They do this. At least they used to. This like maze in the dark. and you had to do it, but there was no way to get out, and it was themed like Saw. So it was like, you have 60 seconds to get out, and it's like the gag is that it's essentially just like a holding pen for you to be in for 5 minutes so that you can like make sure that the people are going through and not getting scared. Because here's the thing I really want to mention. You know what sucks about haunted houses? You know what really grinds my gears about haunted houses? When you go through them and you're stacked on top of each other and you can't get scared.
Yep.
And like that's always been my trepidation going to Universal Studios. I wanted to go last year for my wife's birthday. We couldn't make it happen. I went to Universal Studios this year, and seeing how that ship was run, I'm not sure I want to go see those haunted houses. They'll probably break while I'm in line for them. But those moments that I've been in a haunted house that I really enjoy, and then I see the people in front of me, it breaks the fucking magic. And that's the worst. That's the worst magic breaking. That's worse than someone not being into trying to scare you. Seeing the people in front of you being scared is just like the drizzling shits in a haunted house.
Not only that, seeing them be scared, and then the haunt employee slink back into the shadows that you're about to walk by so they can do the same thing, and you go, oh, hello.
Yeah, Homer back into the bushes, and it's like, am I not supposed to acknowledge the fact that you're fucking... Oh, if I don't acknowledge it, then people behind me actually get scared, right? So I'm going to do a solid and not be a dickhead then. Yeah. Have you ever actually been genuinely scared in a haunted house, though?
Not a single time.
Okay.
No, not at all. But I guess for anybody not watching and only listening on the podcast version of this, I should explain a few caveats of why I like haunted houses, because I like horror. Haunted houses don't really work for me. First of all, I'm 6'5", and on a good month of my life when I'm not at my absolute heaviest, I weigh at least 375 pounds. I'm a massive dude, and so some of these things like. I'll just start the story, and we're going to finish it later on because I have a funny story to go with this. But in Kansas City, in what they call the West Bottoms, it's basically the industrial part of town. Every single year for literally only the month of October, they open up 3 haunted houses that are right next to each other that are built into these really old industrial buildings. And one of them, the quote scary part, is that like you come around one hallway and it's normal. You go around the next hallway and it's suddenly you have to duck to go through the whole thing because, oh no, the ceiling is lower. When you're 6'5" and you have to duck for everybody, that ceiling is less than 5 feet tall. I'm fucked. I can't see anything, and I'm now knees bent and crouched all the way over and just screwed. Everything hurts. It's all uncomfortable. There was one part of this haunted house I had to crawl through. That sucked. That's not fun. And then it ended with the slide. Not scary whatsoever. There's so much of this that just simply does not work. The ending of the story, we're going to talk about the second haunted house, but that's going to come up when we start answering our questions.
You mentioned this place. It sounds very much like Cutting Edge. Cutting Edge was built in a old meat packing factory. And it's like, I mean, it's massive. And to your point, I never got scared there. The scariest thing was at the end. And I don't know what it is with haunted houses that I've been to, clearly similarly to you. Haunted houses have a real third act problem, as one might say.
Yes.
The one that I went to, the scariest part was the third act. And that was because you had to walk through one of those giant, like, bubble walls of, like, foam. And the foam was, like, I'm not even joking. It was, like, maybe 12, 15 feet high. And maybe 20, 30, 40 feet. You can't breathe through it. That's the scariest part. It's like, I'm feeling like I'm going to be suffocating at any moment now. This is much scarier than some guy dancing around with a chainsaw. Like, I am feeling actual physical dread here, not a guy chasing after me with a chainsaw with no blade on it.
If for anybody watching too, you just saw I had a revelation while you were saying that. I totally forgot. I did go through one that kind of scared me. I was lucky enough to be in Las Vegas when Eli Roth had his Goratorium open. It was only open for a couple of years, and my wife and I went through it, and it was really well made. Obviously, it's Eli Roth. He's got a shit ton of money. They had like no income, like hardly anybody went through this thing, but it was really well built. It was. I think there was like a couple stairs, so it might have been like a split, barely, not even 2-story, but like a split level 1.5 type stories. There was a room where there was a fake wedding that was really well done. I jumped a little bit because the whole point of these things is it's quiet and then they jump out and scream, and so loud noises make people jump. So that was the big thing. But going up to the very end of this thing, exact same thing. It was a giant bubble wall thing, and it literally felt like you were being birthed into the world again. that's not scary. It's just, if this is in my face, I feel like I'm suffocating, and that's terrifying because I don't want to die.
Interesting side note, former guest of the show, Father Malone, who did horror movie anthologies with us, he worked at the Goratorium.
Nice.
So you may have even been scared by or attempted to be scared by Father Malone, who is
That's
also
quite
like
possible.
6'3" to your 6'5". Yeah, I was about to say most of the haunted houses I've been to, the building codes are also rather suspect. And so, yeah, I mean, being a above average height human being, and for most of my life, above average weight, they were not easy for me. I can't imagine a gentleman of your stature. Like, get me the fuck out of here. That's not the point, sir. Get me out now. Or I will start shaking this thing to the ground around you.
We'll talk about those building codes when we get to that quote funny story in a little while.
Unquote funny. Well, I will tell my own story before we get into the question. The only time I've ever been truly scared at a haunted house, other than the birthing canal, when they did their job correctly, Columbia, Missouri. I went out to a haunted house with some friends of mine, and it was one of these things where you go through the haunted house and then you get on the hayride and they take you out into the middle of a cornfield and they're like, just get to the other side of the cornfield in the dark, which was just, that wasn't scary. It was just like, this seems like an oversight by a lot of accounts. We walked into this room and there was a bed, and it was like what you're talking about, like quiet. And I was standing there with my two friends from college. Unbeknownst to me, there was a person in a cutout on the ceiling, kind of like this. So they were like up against, they were flush with the ceiling, and they jumped down. I fucking took off. Pew! Like shot. And what's funny is, like, I remember distinctly that the door to the exit of the room went outside, essentially to the next part of the haunted house. I was like, I'm fucking out of here. I'll just be outside. But it was like, okay, like that got me. Cause again, it was like, oh, I'm expecting something in the bed. And there she is above it. So the misdirection of it all, right? That's what the haunted houses are about.
Classic. I figure we should probably list some of the movies that would fall under the genre, just in case you've not heard any of these. And we're probably not going to be talking about most of these films tonight, because most of them are not giant winners, we'll say. So some that would fall into this is The Houses October Built, The Houses October Built 2, Hell House LLC, the first one, the second one, and the third one, the movie Haunt from 2019, Hellfest, Bloodfest, and then there are a handful of others. You want to add to that list a little bit? Because I'm not sure entirely which ones are you're saying fall on there too.
The ones that I'm talking about are more non-fiction, like Haunters and Spookers and Scare Zone, but those are more like, again, I didn't want it, not that I wouldn't say this needs to be purely fictional, but like some of this also, like, just to see what's going on is also interesting. But I think you covered pretty much everything again. And we've already mentioned like the things we are not allowed to talk about. Again,
I'm eager to hear about these documentaries for sure, because I didn't even know they existed.
Well, in that case, let's get on to the first question. So, Ryan, I'm going to pose a question to you that's been asked for multiple millennia, and now I'm asking it to you. What is a foundational title for films about haunt attractions?
All right. So there's one movie on this list specifically that we have talked about quite extensively together. I could have easily ran to that one. Unfortunately.
Okay, throw shade immediately, because I may have done that. Wow. I could have done that, but I wouldn't deign to make the obvious choice.
If you let me finish.
That shit was hilarious. It was funny as fuck, by the way.
I want to finish because I knew that you were going to pick it, so I didn't want to choose the exact same one. But I do have a reason that I wanted to pick this other one. I'm going to go with Haunt from 2019.
Okay.
And I think this is a little more, I don't want to say like cliche or trope-filled version of this,
but it is. It is.
No.
Not in a bad, like, I would say that without any of the pejoratives about it. It is like, I know where you're going with this, and I 100% agree, even if it's not in the negative.
Okay. So what I'm getting at is, if you ask anybody on the street, how would you make a movie about a haunt attraction, right, they would say, let's just have it a haunt attraction, and the people that work there start killing you.
That's what I mean. Like,
and that's literally what this movie is.
It's fucking on the nose.
It's literally on the nose. It is really well made for what it does. The haunt attraction, surprisingly well designed. It's a pretty movie. It's fun to look at. The cast itself, not any big names, so you're not distracted by like I don't even know who would do something like this. Like Sean William Scott is not moseying through a haunt attraction and being attacked out of nowhere. What's that?
I mean, I would watch that movie though. Now that you mention it.
Well, I'm sure it'd be funny.
But yeah, to your point, yeah, I don't think any of the movies that we're mentioning have any. That may be the success here overall. Is none of these movies really have anybody that you would be like, oh look,
that's a good call.
Oh look, that guy works at Target as a model.
I guess we'll talk about that later. But yeah, Haunt 2019 works really well. I think it has a fun setup. It is not super intimidating until it needs to be. And then when it gets scary, like if you're not into horror movies all the time, I could totally see this being something that actually scares somebody watching this. And it does come across as a bit of a slasher, even though it's not a slasher, because like the way I personally define slasher, it would normally be a single person or a couple people working together to kill, even though that's kind of what's happening here, but it's not built the same way as a slasher. It's not like, anyways, I don't need to define slasher. We'll do a slasher episode later.
Don't ruin Haunt, but there is part of the movie that's like, is what is happening actually happening or not?
Right.
And that is the part of the movie that I think, because I watched it today, by the way, for the first time and only time. I did not pick it because I kind of assumed one of us would, and so you did, and you kind of assumed that one of us was going to pick what I picked, and I did. Yeah, I mean, Haunt, I think, is like you said, like for all of the tropes and all the other obviousness, it is exactly the kind of movie that it sounds like. People go to a haunted house, people get killed in a haunted house by the people who run the haunted house. Like you said, if you asked anybody on the street what the haunted house movie is going to be, that's it. Like I said, and like you said, that is exactly all it needs to be. And it's fine for what it is. I think the reveal is kind of moronic in the funniest way. It's kind of like Tales from the Crypt. It's like a Tales from the Crypt episode at the end. It's all of a sudden like some sort of weird, like they're trying to steal their faces. Like, what? Like, what the fuck? I mean, sure, fine, whatever. The thing that you really touched on that I do want to reinforce, the design is really interesting. The character masks are really interesting. I think the movie drags its feet a little too much about the, is it or isn't it happening? I think it needs to do like one scene less of trying to convince us something isn't happening, because like the movie that they want you to think they're doing is not nearly as interesting as the movie they end up doing, which is, again, rather straightforward. But for someone who doesn't like haunted houses, this is not going to be like, yeah, I'm going to go out to a haunted house now because I'm going to have my face fucking ripped off. And isn't that the most like Halloween thing of all? Like you're stealing people's faces to make masks out of it. Like, I don't know.
Especially if you enjoy looking at pictures of kids from 1928 in masks.
Right. Yeah. Pretty much. Like that's the other thing. It kind of makes those like traditional like bestial masks. Like it makes them really kind of scary.
Yeah.
No, I enjoyed it. I did not dislike the movie at all. I found it to be charming on its own kind of merits without needing to like like you said, it doesn't need any quantification because it's the most obvious movie. It's shocking it hadn't been made before is really what it comes down to, right? Like that's maybe the biggest surprise.
It is stereotypical and not in a bad way, because honestly, any genre needs something at its basal level. This is I mean, pardon the pun here, but like this is the foundation that haunt movies could and should have been built off of. This theoretically should have been the first haunt movie ever made. And funny enough, it comes out later than almost all of them.
Well, I mean, if you wanted to mention the one that ostensibly came out first, you'd mention the houses that October built. But You'll notice, as I'm about to answer the question, that's not what Ryan thought I was going to pick, because he knows that's not the movie that I was going to pick. Because like you've already alluded to, my pick is 100% Hell House LLC, which I think is I think it makes a case for being like one of the best found footage movies ever made, if not like top three, maybe might even be number one. I don't think it's number one for me. I think there's like three movies. I think there are three movies in there that I could interchange at any point, and Hell House is one of them. But Hell House LLC, great premise. It's pseudo nonfiction, which I really appreciate. Like, it sells the gimmick all the way. Like, it sells it all the way, which, if you're going to do it right, don't open up a themed restaurant and then don't give me themed cocktails, you dickheads. That's the argument here. Like, if you're going to make a mockumentary or a found footage movie, I want the moment it opens to the moment it closes being in the universe. Credits, I get it. Credits are credits. If you even do credits, why do credits in a found footage movie? I understand to give people credit, yada, yada, but talking about in keeping the universe, in building and keeping in the world, Hell House LLC does it better than pretty much most found footage movies, if not all of them. Shoestring budget, and the hook is great. 5 people go to a house in upstate New York to set up a haunted attraction, and it turns out the house might actually be haunted. That's the other way you do a haunted house movie. It's either the people in the haunted attraction are psychos and killing people, or the people running the attraction set it up at a place where either they conjure demons by accident, which we haven't really seen that one, or they conjure them intentionally, which we've kind of seen that one, but I don't want to say which one, or they're already there, which is Hell House LLC. And yeah, if Haunt is 1A of how you do these kinds of movies, Hell House LLC is also 1A, if not 1B. They're like, these are the two ways ostensibly that you would do this, the way haunted houses are, or haunted attractions are presented in this country.
Credit where credit's due. This movie is amazing. I will say this is, it's clearly not a perfect movie, but in its genre, it is top tier, 100%. I don't know that it's probably not top 3 found footage for me, but it's easily top 5 through 10. I've always loved found footage films. You and I have talked about those to death, of course. But one thing that I will say is this movie kills it with the lore. Stephen Cognetti knows what he's writing. He knows what he's going to put 2 movies down the line, and it might not make sense now, but when he finally gets to that movie in 7 years, he'll tie up that bow perfectly. This movie is actually scary. There's multiple scenes in this movie that are pretty damn chilling, that if you are not used to horror movies, I could see really fucking somebody up. And this is a great pick.
It's done so well, it almost feels real.
Yeah.
Like, and you know what? Like, that in a lot of ways is the Bechdel test of found footage horror movies, right? Like, could I show this to someone and then be like, is this real?
Right.
And like, for me, I've shown Hell House to a couple people. I've shown Ghost Watch to some people. And like, if you can get that moment from them, like, that's the success with found footage horror. It's like, is this a fucking real thing? Like, what are you showing me here? And Hell House has that, and Hell House has like no budget. They do so much with clown maquettes that it makes my brain melt, to the point where in the 4th movie in this series, they're still doing shit with clown maquettes that is like more nuanced than most big budget horror movies that have large directors see something like Exorcist Believers. Like, give someone like Stephen Cognetti an actual budget for an actual movie and see what he can do with it. Because look at what he's doing with practically nothing. You know, some money from his family and friends. And again, Hell House LLC is a movie I return to frequently. It gave me a reason to put it on today, to the point where my wife came in and goes, "Haven't you seen this movie enough?" It's like, I have, but I kind of low-key enjoy it.
I love this movie. By the time you're hearing this, I believe the prior year, we will have discussed this in depth on the Culture Cast. We talked about these right after the 4th one came out. I had never seen the 2nd or 3rd one, or obviously the 4th one, right before it came out. So we got really fresh in my mind to discuss all of those. In this specific genre tonight, the first 3 would fall squarely in this genre. The 4th one, not quite so much, which, again, props to Stephen Cognetti. The fact that you can make those clowns work and you're not even in the haunted attraction anymore, that is mind-boggling, and I love him for it.
Yeah, he's He's doing a lot with a whole hell of a lot of nothing, really, like more than I'd be able to do with what he had. And yeah, I mean, the first three are pretty great. The fourth one is great on its own merits in its own weird way, and it does kind of, like you mentioned, the less said about it, the better, but it takes place in an actual haunted house, which is why we can't talk about it here. So, yeah, but the first one is definitely, for me, like the foundational pick here. But to your point, like Haunt and It are sitting on very even ground.
Well, and honestly, they're two very different films, so it's really easy here to say, if you've never seen a movie about a haunted attraction, and this sounds enticing to you tonight, which do you prefer? Do you prefer a more realistic take or a supernatural take? If it's realistic, go towards Haunt. If it's more supernatural and that's scarier to you, go towards Hell House LLC, and guess what? You might love them both. You might love one or the other, and it's a perfectly fine duo here, depending on which style you might align with better.
Yeah, totally. Because again, I know you say found footage to some people, and they like run for the fucking hills. So, and look, Hell House LLC, I think, again, to reinforce, like, if you're trepidatious about found footage, it's also kind of a documentary. So, like, it's a mockumentary. I really don't like that term because, like, I don't know. Like, I know that there's no other way to say faux documentary, but mockumentary, like, I don't know. It always makes me think, like, they're trying to make me laugh. And it's like, very rarely are they doing that. Hell House LLC is a really good example of a specific kind of movie. It also just happens to fit into this category as well.
I agree. Good call.
So, Ryan, if they go out there and check out Haunt and Hell House LLC, what might be a less foundational pick, but more of a deep cut to suggest to someone in haunt attraction films?
So one I enjoyed, but I think one that might turn some people away if they watch it first, primarily because, I mean, compared to some of these others, it's kind of boring, but it still has some good merits. I kind of want to give just a little bit of love to Hellfest from 2018. I do want to say there's some kills in this one that are fun. This one's also interesting too because it's kind of a horror theme park. Right. So like the entire area is the haunted attraction. It's not necessarily a carnival movie because it's this entire theme park built literally to scare you. It's like Universal's Haunted Horror. It's like Not Scary Farm, all those things that we've all heard about, whatever. But yeah, this movie, it's got a masked killer that you see. The mask itself, honestly, doesn't work that well for me. I kind of wish they went with a more so yeah, the mask in Hellfest is sort of bland, but again, the kills are worth it for this one. I could see somebody that is steeped in the horror genre approaching this and watching it and walking away going, yeah, it was a movie. I will say that for a lot of these, budget notwithstanding, I'm a big fan of trying to find something to appreciate in every single film you watch, and this has a lot of things going for it. And at the time, it was a minor hit. Like, for how much this movie cost, it did pretty well. A lot of people saw this. Unfortunately, most of those people forgot it promptly right after. But it is a movie that I think that if you watch it in 2024 after going to a haunt, or even better, like preparing to go to a haunt, you'll probably have a great time.
Never seen it, but I remember the trailers for it. It was like, it's a haunted theme park. And I was like, it could be a fun lark. Never saw it, but I'm glad to know it's kind of a fun lark.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of fun larks, so my answer for this is The Houses That October Built. I think credit has to be given where credit is due because The Houses That October Built came before Hell House LLC by a year. Houses That October Built also has a special place in my heart because it is the movie that I remember distinctly watching and putting out on Facebook about that caused the Culture Cast to exist. That was the movie I was watching at the time, and I was typing up about it on Facebook, and then one thing led to another, and now I've been podcasting for 10 years. So Houses That October Built, I have somewhat to blame for that. However, I will say, if you want to take a complete and utter 180 from most everything we've been suggesting, Haunters The Art of the Scare is a very good nonfiction piece, read as documentary, about focuses on a couple different characters within the world of haunting, but it is a very early look at McCamey Manor, which was featured in a documentary, last year on Investigation Discovery, where they were trying to... I'm not going to defend the guy who runs it, but if your idea of a good time in a haunted house is having someone call you names and make you vomit and do all sorts of really extreme stuff like waterboarding and being thrown into coffins with snakes, and that's your idea of a good time, if you sign a waiver, motherfucker, that's on you. That's all I'm saying. And McCamey Manor has kind of gotten a bad rap recently. Like I said, I'm not defending it. I'm just saying if people make choices are being made and things are being signed. If people are doing it because they're being coerced, different thing. But Haunters talks a little bit about kind of extreme scares, but it also focuses on a woman who was working at Knott's Scary Farm for like 30 years. It also focuses on a guy whose wife hates the idea of him doing Halloween when they have kids. And it's like, Halloween is his mistress, I think is what he says at one point. Like, it's look, the people that run these things are characters, is what I'm saying. And someone turned the camera on them and said, wouldn't it be interesting to see what these people are like? Yes, it in fact is interesting. So those are my two kind of answers, very different, but at the same time, houses that October built, it's interesting because ostensibly, best I can tell, is like found footage in other people's haunted houses. Because again, like the conceit of the movie is like they're going to try to find the most extreme haunted house, and they're taking their cameras through these haunted houses that they go through them. Some of them seem like real haunted houses, and they juxtapose it with real footage too. So it's a little Hell Housey. Like Hell House is a better version of Houses That October Built, but it's the first one. But again, nonfiction I think is also a very interesting route to go down because, again, the people who run these things gotta be crazy too. This is a lot of work for 1 month of the year, or in some of these people's cases, one day.
There is speaking of characters that run these things, there is a small town, well, a small-ish town on the outskirts of Kansas City called Independence, Missouri. And a lot of people have heard of it because it's like the start of the Oregon Trail and I think the start of the Mormon Trail and a few other things. Like it's a pretty well-known little city. And there is a family that had a haunted backyard, essentially, that they set up every year. It went in slightly different routes each year, but these people put money into this thing. We're talking like $25,000 and then charged people to come do this. And it turned into this giant thing. Like cops had to come rope off sections for cars to park, turn to this big thing. And unfortunately, just after COVID, they got into like this major fight with the city, and now the city came and literally confiscated items from them. And so now these people that are, they were already kooky. Now they're like anti-government and getting people to side with them and sign petitions. And it's like, okay, hold on. We're getting a little out of control. We needed to make sure we were staying within the laws and stuff. But now things are starting to feel a little weird on both sides. So
the word we're looking for is white
here?
Christian nationalists all of a sudden. All of a sudden, the people running haunted houses just go, I'm anti-government. I mean, you know what they say. It's a slippery slope out there. Be careful which ski slope you decide to go down today.
That's what Kevin Smith's Red State was about.
Right. Haunted houses are a slippery slope, folks. I mean, what's funny is McCamey Manor is essentially the story of that place is the same thing. Like, guy was doing this thing for 10 years, decided after a while he wanted to amp it up and do something a little bit more intense. And then the city goes, you can't do that because you're literally making your neighbors scared for what's going on in your backyard. I mean, these people in Kansas City, they sound similar to the people that run Vala's Pumpkin Patch outside of Omaha, which is a seasonal offering that you can go pick pumpkins and go through haunted houses, but they're very kid-friendly. So read that as not remotely fucking scary, if even manned by people at all. But that being said, people that run haunted houses, they gotta love Halloween. And if they don't, why are they doing it?
Great question. And I think that kind of answers our third question perfectly, at least for me. So I will mosey into that third question. Third question always is, what is the biggest impact that our subject tonight has had on pop culture? And this one, I think, is going to be sort of a circular answer for me, because obviously the popularity of haunts makes these movies popular, but then the popularity of these movies make haunts popular. So they sort of feed into each other. And haunt culture is huge now. Like, this is a weird, I don't, not like, wow. Let me roll that back. I'm not calling anybody out that likes these as inferior or you're strange or anything, but it's sort of an odd subgenre to crop up out of nowhere and be super big all of a sudden. Like, there have been haunted attractions that have shown up on Shark Tank to get investments. That's how like massive this thing has grown for. And when you look at what it is, people travel around to find these. They view these as like they're Mount Rushmore. They are going to something that they've heard about, they've read about, they want to experience. I'm sure we've all read about these crazy ones in LA where you sign away where you could be kidnapped sometime in the next 3 weeks, and
blackout, baby.
It's not just a haunted attraction; it's your life will be haunted, and you are fucked.
David Fincher's The Game. I mean, David Fincher's The Game is pretty much what you're talking about, like amplified in a way that's like, this is what I want. Like, I don't want to know where the bounds of reality end and begin.
I don't want to sound like a tool, but part of that kind of sounds enjoyable. So, anyways, this is genuinely a thing. It has fed into this big culture, and this is where I want to lead into my question. My funny story I alluded to earlier. There are a lot of times where these are, we will say, built haphazardly, to say the least.
Let's put it out there. Some of these things, if the wind blew just right, you would go down with it on top of you.
Yeah. So let's talk about those Kansas City haunts like I brought up at the very beginning. Like I said, there are 3 little haunted houses that are built next to each other, and they are pretty small. To walk through these things takes less than 12 minutes-ish when you're walking at a fairly leisurely pace. And we did this first one where, like I said, I had to crawl. We went in little hallways where you had to duck and go under and stuff. So we go and wait in line for almost an hour for the second one that we already had tickets for. So if we left, we'd be losing a lot of money. And these things, they cost a lot to get in. We're talking like $25 a person at least.
Ain't cheap, folks. Cutting Edge last time I went there in 2014 was $35 a person.
Yeah, I think we only got them for $25 because we got the bundle for both. And the first one was like $40 a person. If you added one on, it was another $25. So, yeah. So for that whole night, for 2, we spent like $110, something like that, for 2 people to go through 2 haunted houses. And so we get to the second one, and we're tired. We are beat. We've already been standing in line for a long time for 2 houses because the first one was way longer than an hour. We're going through the second one, and they have this thing on the inside decorated fairly well. Like, some of it looks like a decent movie set because it is a movie-themed haunted house. They have it set up when you're coming in to look like you're walking into the front of a theater. You go inside, and there's like, here, let's look through the back sets of how they filmed some of these. And so there was like a bayou room where there was a rope bridge to walk across. There was like an old shack next to it, and somebody jumps out, of course. They even had a little bit of water to make it look like there was a little swamp action going on. But the whole point was there was a lot of dust and dirt in this entire thing. And what's crazy, this thing had, at one point, you were walking through this. It is much longer than the first one. You're walking through for about 10 minutes. There is a spiral staircase that is old and rusty and metal that goes up at least the height of about 2 floors. You come up at the top and you're exhausted now because you just walked up a spiral staircase, a very small one when you're 6'5" and you have your shoes are size 18. To go up every step sucks. So I'm going through and we go down a staircase. So now we went up 2 flights of stairs. I went down a stair. And now we're in this like, we're almost to the end level. We're walking around. And I'm with my mom. I forgot to share that at the beginning. My mom, she's not super old. She's not super young, but she's not super old. She's in front of me, and she comes around to what is clearly, like, we hear people talking. This is the end of the haunted house, and it is about 15 steps to get to the end. There's a little area where you can buy snacks at the bottom and all that. There's bathrooms, whatever. She takes the first step, and I'm looking back to see what we just came from, and I hear tumbling. I turn my head back, and she is falling down this entire flight of stairs, which is 15 stairs, head over feet, over head over feet, rolling down the stairs. And I shriek because my mom just collapsed in front of me. I yell, "Mom!" I take one step, and what was the problem? Which I had no idea. All of this dust caked the entire flight of stairs. So it was literally like walking on marbles when I took that step. So my foot immediately went out from under me, and my giant fucking arm, which is a huge arm, slams full speed into the banister for the staircase. And I'm like riding on my ass down the staircase, land on top of my mom at the bottom of the staircase. And I hear multiple employees running over. "Oh my God, are you okay?" We were both fine, not hurt. Like there was no blood. Nobody's bones were broken. They didn't even offer us a discount, Chris.
What in God's name?
No refund, not even a bottle of water.
Did you go to was this at Universal Studios?
Kansas City, middle of nowhere.
God.
Yeah, it was appalling. And what's crazy, like I'm not going to show anything here, but like this is where I hit. I'm showing the bottom of my arm here, like between my elbow and my shoulder, and there is still a lump on the muscle of my arm from where I hit that staircase, and it's been 1.5 years, Chris.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Hey man, like I said, those building inspectors, man, they're not going in there. It's scary. They heard there's monsters in there. And we can't in good conscience pass a building that has monsters in it. This place has been condemned. That's not what happens. Yeah, to say I'm glad nothing has ever happened when I've been in one is to put it mildly. A lot of these things are fucking death traps, and one of these days something's gonna happen, and poof, one of them's gonna go up in smoke and kill a bunch of people because they can't get out because of bad exits or something. And then, because in Haunters, they talk about places like McCamey Manor that are like pushing the envelope and again, like waterboarding people and stuff. And one of the guys goes, this is the one-way ticket to getting our industry regulated by the government. No, the one-way ticket is for haunted house to burn down because it's poorly constructed because it's a bunch of yo-hos building it. And I'm not saying that's all the case. If you're listening to this and you run a reputable haunted house, you have nothing to worry about. But that's pretty fucked up. To say the least. I mean, hey, like I said, is this being run by Universal Studios? I will say for me, the kind of what is the effect of pop culture that these movies have had, it's just wish fulfillment. It's getting to see the worst of a haunted house that you don't get to see in reality. A haunted one that's actually haunted or one that has actual killers inside of it. To your point, like it is weird now that Universal Halloween Haunted Horror Nights, or Jesus Christ, Halloween Horror Nights, is that what it's called, right? I'm such a huge fan, I don't even know.
I think so.
Halloween Horror Nights, yeah. It's such a big thing. Like, when I was in LA, my friend that I was staying with, like, he was like, yeah, my son goes to Universal Studios every year for Halloween Horror Nights. Like, he doesn't go to Universal Studio otherwise, is best I can tell. And yeah, I mean, to your point, those lines on those haunted houses, 3 to 4 hours sometimes to go, but they're also like, there's nothing higher. That is the pinnacle because it is produced by Universal Studios. So, like you said, right now, I don't think theme parks have ever been any more popular than they are now. I think we're in a golden age of theme parks. Look, you mentioned Eli Roth's Goratorium. In Las Vegas will be a permanent horror-based attraction owned by Universal Studios, made for people who go to Universal Studios in LA or in Orlando, but have never been able to go to the haunted things. Now they can go to a haunted one in Las Vegas, plus all the people from around the world who go to Vegas for God knows what, because it's not really just the United States capital of sin. It's kind of the capital of sin from around the world. So as far as I'm concerned, all this has done is really just make haunted houses bigger business than ever before, to the tune of, like I said, Universal Studios building a permanent horror themed and focused attraction in Las Vegas, which I cannot fucking wait for. But on top of that, there is permanent haunted attractions in Las Vegas now. There's It and Blair Witch at least, and maybe even Saw still. that are, you know, licensed and put on by big production companies that are trying to up the ante, because one of the ways you up the ante is by branding the shit out of it. And, you know, at one point, Halloween Horror Nights was just, you know, ooh, Bigfoot or Yeti or Tupac. Now it's Stranger Things or Walking Dead. And it's like, okay, so I see. The things are being co-opted by the big brands, but how else do you make things popular? Lean into the things that everybody already loves. Am I saying I hate it? No. Am I saying I love it? Definitely not. But am I saying I'm appreciative that it's made more people interested in haunted houses, which is only good for haunted houses? Yes, that is what I'm saying.
The weirdest one of those is the Weekend haunted horror night house, whatever it's called. Like, the fact that we have one dedicated to his music videography, like, that is such a weird, random ass happenstance.
I'm surprised you didn't mention the Penn and Teller one where it was about a nuclear holocaust happening in Las Vegas, where they would sometimes just be in the haunted house standing there as themselves, which is also a great thing that you can do if you have it based off of a real person. But yeah, I mean, that's for me is I think just kind of feeding into this haunted house culture we now have in this country, where Halloween has never been bigger and every year it grows, and Spirit Halloween is a part of that. Halloween Horror Nights is a part of that. And haunted houses in general as a thing are part of that as well. It's a thing every year I look forward to, and it's a thing that I haven't done since the pandemic happened. And so maybe this will be the first year I go into a haunted house, but not since the pandemic have I been to a haunted house. But yeah, haunted houses for me, haunted house movies or haunted attraction movies are just wish fulfillment. You want to see someone die in a haunted house? Nobody wants to see that for real, but here's Haunt. Go watch that.
So is that, are you glomming on to my response to question number 3 as well, the biggest impact on pop culture?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's really anything else. Like I said, I mean, for me, my answer is wish fulfillment. Just, you know, sickos who wanted to see bad things happen in a haunted house get to see it in fiction, which that's my answer. I mean, again, I think horror movies are you ever wanted to see someone's head get frozen in liquid nitrogen and smashed? You can do that in Jason X. You don't have to watch horror movies in general are wish fulfillment, really. Like, it's just the worst kind of wishes, which are like, what would happen if someone decided to kill people that had wronged them, and you get Saw? So, I mean, I think that's maybe just too broad of an answer, but with something specific like haunted houses or haunted attractions that evoke such a visceral reaction from people as it is, making them the worst versions of themselves is really the obvious answer here.
Yeah, and I mean, the whole wish fulfillment thing goes deep. I mean, there are egregious examples. Like, there was an interview I did on my show that there was somebody that directed a short film back in like the mid '90s with a rock star, basically, who told him behind the scenes that he had thoughts of wanting to kill people, and the guy was like, "Well, you can't do that in real life. Let's just make a movie out of it." And so they got a fan to come in who literally said, "Yeah, you can do anything to me, just don't kill me." They ended up fucking carving the name of the film into his chest.
Like I said,
what?
People want to go to McCamey Manor to be waterboarded and tortured and put through physical violence. Like, you know that there are people in the world that have had physical violence done against them, against their own will, and I don't think that they were asking for it willingly. So it's a weird, like, pushing of your boundaries. In a lot of ways, I look at haunted houses like I look at something like Fear Factor, like overcoming your fears. Like, you know, to say we all live, at least in the Western world, the Western Hemisphere, the Northwestern Hemisphere, live very safe lives is an understatement. And to go to a haunted house or watch a horror movie is to have some genuine terror introduced into your life. I mean, it's contained and safe terror, but for a lot of people, going to a haunted house is still very scary, myself included in certain ones. The best ones make you really actually scared. And like I said, if you can't get out of your house and go driving in a car is scarier than going to a haunted house in reality. You're not going to die in a haunted house unless you go to the ones in Kansas City where you eat shit down the stairs because they don't fucking clean the place. But I always say that to my mom, like, I always joke with my mom. I was like, you want to go to a haunted house with us? And she's like, no. And I was like, you get in a car and drive every day. That's way scarier than like
Right.
walking through a contained environment with a bunch of people that are being paid to not touch you, because if they do, they lose their jobs. Like, it's way scarier than, you know, who knows who driving on the fucking highway at 80 miles an hour. And if they decide to go ape shit, the rest of the world is going to have to pay for it. So, yeah, wish fulfillment.
Good call. Yeah, that's a good conversation to have about this topic for sure. And now question 4. I feel like we've already mentioned a couple things that we're going to talk about again here, but what do you think is a good cinematic bridge to the subject of haunted attraction films or haunt attraction films? Because as we mentioned earlier, this is like a niche of a niche topic. So yeah, what do you think?
So I might be stealing your answer here. I don't know. But I think if you're a fan of Saw in general, you might find some value in these kinds of movies. Some of the Saw movies, especially that second one, is kind of its own haunted thing. Like it's in a house and there's rooms and each room has like Saw is kind of predicated on the idea of one room to another, things taking place that have to either happen or not happen depending on which movie you're in. Haunted attraction movies are kind of the same in a lot of ways. Like they go from room to room or they go from scenario to scenario, but those scenarios you can kind of see them coming from a mile away. I feel like if you like Saw, but also if you just like movies about haunted places, because a lot of the best ones of these are also bottle movies. Like Haunt is a bottle movie. They go to one place, they're there the whole time, for the most part, up until the end of the movie, which I chuckled at mightily. But I mean, like something like Hell House LLC or The Houses That October Built, like they're kind of just taking place within one space for the most part. So, a haunted house movie is kind of the same thing. And most of the time they don't leave or can't leave or unable to leave or what have you. So those are my kind of easy, obvious answers. But again, like you said, this is so down 3 levels, I'm not sure how not obvious we had to get here.
I agree. I think that we are, kind of dancing around some topics here because I think some of these other related topics are probably going to be future episodes at some point. So we mentioned like carnival films earlier. If you like episodes surrounding the circus, surrounding carnivals, surrounding theme parks, those fit very well with these. But I got to be honest, a lot of these, they have like an air of mystery. They have an air of, am I going to be able to escape from here at some point? Because you don't know. For the person in the film, there starts to be this blurred line of, am I going to survive? And so I really like your answer here, except instead of Saw, I'll expand it to any of those like trap type films, whether it be the Saw franchise or the Cube franchise or the Escape Room franchise, which you could argue, some lists have Escape Room listed as a haunt attraction type film. There are a lot of those types of movies that also became popular around, like, I hate to use this term because I don't really agree with it, but like the torture porn era. A lot of those were let's bring people into a room and torture them, and they think that they have a chance to survive. And those, for a lot of people, they work really well. And I'm one of those people. I like the mystery aspect. I like puzzles. So solving like an escape room horror movie, that sounds like just put it into my veins. It's like you made me a movie. That sounds perfect. Escape Room is far from perfect, but the idea of this type of film sounds like exactly what I want.
We need to go to Vegas to the Saw Escape Room then, because I'm pretty sure that those things in Vegas aren't actually haunted houses. They're escape rooms, at least the things that are there now, which is interesting because for me, escape rooms are just like one half of the haunted house.
Yeah.
It's like, what, you don't want to be scared, right? Like, okay, I get it. So what is the other part? Well, if there's nothing to be scared by, it's the fact that you can't get out, right? So they have to introduce some other threat. And if it's not an exterior threat of people jumping out at you, then the threat is you can't leave. So in my mind, like escape rooms are just like less scary haunted houses. Like, it's just,
right.
It's a haunted house you agree to be locked in. Like, I agree to be locked in here for an hour, and if I can find my way out, cool. If not, I don't know, cool, I guess. Again, like, in the movie, if you don't escape, you die. In real life, they're not going to shoot you in the head and throw you out back in the dumpster. They might, at least not any of the escape rooms I've been to threaten that, but who knows?
It's funny. Well, first of all, escape rooms are kind of like in that same trend with these haunted attractions. They've not been around for that long where it's something that they were super popular. I'm sure there was some for a while, but the big thing is I had gone to like 2 before a lot of my friend groups. And so I had seen a couple of examples of what they could do. And somebody said, that sounds awful. Just you getting locked into a room. Why do you like that? I was like, well, it sounds like a haunted house, except for instead of a ghost, it's manned by Sherlock Holmes. Like, that sounds perfect.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. You're the first person I've met that actively likes escape rooms, which seems like a missed opportunity. We should have gone and done an escape room, apparently.
We just did one in Iowa when we were there.
I know, I saw.
We did not do well.
Damn. Well, but like I said, I mean, escape rooms are now part and parcel with haunted houses because, like I mentioned, the thing in Vegas is a Saw escape room. It's not even a haunted house, I don't think. Like, which, again, like, in my mind, it makes sense. Like, you're kind of bridging the gap here. And Saw really is just escape rooms anyways. Like, the concept alone lends itself to being, kind of serialized in a way and turned into something physical because it's like, oh, it's already kind of an escape room. So, nobody's going to, again, agree to have a reverse bear trap put on their head, but... Well, not most people. There are probably some people that be like, yeah, inject that shit into my veins, dog. This makes me just want to go to a haunted house. That's all this has done. Like, I'm just like, why isn't it October? Yeah, exactly. Why is it April? Why is it not October, like, 10th? That sounds like a good day. Like, not the first couple days of the month, because here they're never very cold, but, like, 10 to 15 days in, we're talking prime fall weather. The normies are already exhausted by horror movies, but the rest of us are just settling into another 21 days of this bullshit. Yeah, I wish it was October. Let's just pretend it's October right now. The end.
What's funny is it'll probably be October when this gets released.
Congratulations. You're hearing this now. Yeah. Magic.
Man, yeah, I love the fall, and one of the reasons is because of stuff like this. It really helps get you in the mood for the spooky times. It helps really ring in the changing of everything, and fall is perfect for stuff like this. I strongly recommend people check out at least one of these if you've never seen them. The films are super fun, can be very well made, but also if you dive into some of the lesser known titles, keep in mind to go in there with some grace. They're not all perfect. They're not all super well made. They're not, I don't think any of these have big name actors. These are mostly just small teams coming together to make a fun movie. And I think that you'll find something to enjoy in every single one.
And hey, if you watch Hell House 3 and then go to Target, you may see the actor who plays one of the main characters in that movie as just a clothing model at Target, which is a real thing. The guy who plays Russell Wynn, I think is his name, is just casually a men's clothing model at Target on a lot of their advertisements. So that's a weird random thing. But yeah, to your point, like, haunted houses are that's just one of the few things we get to do in October if we're fans of that world, that helps us kind of engage with it in a different way than just sitting down to watch a movie.
Good call. Very good call. I think that brings us to the end here, sir. Let's tell the people where they can find you.
WeirdingWayMedia.com is where you can find everything but one thing I work on. Everything else that is not that one thing can be found at Weirding Way Media, The Culture Cast, Midnight Viewing, Tales of Nothing, because that's not the name of a show anymore. Why am I blanking here? It's like I haven't been doing this for 10 years. The Projection Booth, Midnight Viewing, Dark Destinations, Twisted and Uncorked, 80s TV Ladies. These are all shows that you should be listening to as opposed to listening to me talk about them. They can all be found at Weirding Way Media, aside from Rankin' on Bond, which can be found on Patreon at either The Projection Booth or the Culture Cast at the $10 level. What about you, Ryan Verrill? What can people find what Someone's Favorite Productions is up to right now?
Well, I try to talk about something different in every single episode. So today, I really want to highlight our magazine. We have a magazine that we put out called The Physical Media Advocate. You can find it in multiple online retailers, including Amazon. Just go over there and search up The Physical Media Advocate. Otherwise, there are some retail stores in person that you can purchase from. You can purchase it directly from me if you're after it. All of these issues have some monthly ongoing columns. We've got letters to the editors that are humorous and genuinely meaningful sometimes. We've got in-depth articles on films, in-depth articles on directors and actors, on genres, on nostalgia for DVD menus. It is a very physical media focused magazine, as you could expect by that name, but it really is just a love letter to all of cinema, and it has some of the most compelling names working in the industry, in my opinion, writing for it. So check it out if you are so inclined. We've got a digital version or a print version. We'd love to have you check it out every time it comes out. But other than that, thank you for listening to this episode on haunt attractions. We hope you check out the next episode and that you continue to travel down some of those spooky side roads that you might discover some films that you may never have seen otherwise.
Hello, this is Chris Haskell from They Live by Film. For those that don't know us, Adam, Zach, and we built a podcast over the last 2 years that's a combination of film discussion from 3 very different perspectives, as well as industry interviews with the leaders in boutique Blu-ray and 4K community. We started with Dev Crocodile, but over time we've been lucky enough to speak with Arrow Video, Severin, Mondo Macabro, Vinegar Syndrome, Radiance, Indicator, most of the OCN partner labels. It's been a blast. You can find us wherever you podcast, and also actually recently as part of Someone's Favorite Production Podcast Network. We hope to see you online.